Hey guys, it's Leon with Bigfoot Okanagan. I'm going to head up to an area that you guys haven't seen yet. And I am going to do an educational video about what I came across up there. But I want you to be part of the process with me. Sorry about the shaking a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you up to what I believe is a wallow. But the question is it Sasquatch? Or is there something else going on? Now, this particular wallow, the thing that's about, what I like about it is it has all the classic signs that most people would view as being Sasquatch in the area. So what I'd like you to do with me is I'm going to go through it. I'm going to show you everything I'm finding, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about there's something there for sure. I don't know if it's Sasquatch or something else is doing it. So I'm going to start right off from the beginning. I'll show you once I get up to the wallow area. The road is absolutely brutal. I was thinking, I don't know if you're a real Sasquatcher unless you have at least 2 good cracks in your front windshield and you've blown out a few shocks, but that's not fair. The reason I'm saying that is because I've got 2 huge cracks across my windshield, and I blew out 2 of my shocks in the back of my Jeep. So, but what I'd like to do with this particular video is use it as an educational or learning process for you, and get you to walk it through with me, and I'll show you what I'm finding, and I'll show you my thoughts on it, or give you my thoughts on what I'm seeing and stuff. But I'm not going to make any conclusions. I want you guys to kind of throw out your ideas too, and I'll try to tell you, the pros and cons while I'm up there, and then you guys help me decide what you think, what's going on there. So once I get up to the wallow, I'll put the camera back on, and I'll take you for a little trip through the bush. Okay, thanks guys. Talk to you, let me see, probably talk to you in about an hour and a half by the time I get up there. And I actually look forward to showing you what I found. It's kind of funny or neat. So, okay, talk to you in a bit. Okay, you guys, I'm up at the wallow. What drew me to the wallow, which is this right here, you can see these X's behind me. There are 1,000 mosquitoes out here, so hopefully I won't be eaten alive. Listen, there's 4 things I want you to remember whenever you go squatching, and that is a healthy dose of skepticism, critical thinking, which isn't about criticizing, it's really about analyzing what you're looking for. What we're trying to do is also disprove it's Sasquatch. We're not just trying to prove everything is Sasquatch. And the reason why I want you to follow along on this process with me is to help me see what I'm looking at, because there's some interesting stuff up here I want to show you, and give me some feedback on that whole process. Besides a healthy skepticism and critical thinking, the other one is a hypothesis. So as I'm showing you this stuff, you're going to start forming a hypothesis, in a belief system in regards to what you think it might be as well. So the important part about the 4th thing, which is sincerity. Now, the drawback about sincerity is your brain's kind of wired a specific way. In other words, when you have a belief system, or in other words, you're starting to believe in something, as soon as that happens, your brain starts moving to subconsciously look for information to validate that sincere belief you have about something. Now, that can trick your brain a little bit, so I want to give you a cautionary note on that. I think Rio was mentioned about, when you're looking for a new vehicle, you happen to find a Toyota, I don't know, some form of Toyota 4x4, and all of a sudden you start seeing them all over the place. That's because your subconscious, you have made a decision that that's the type of vehicle you want, and subconsciously your brain automatically starts looking for all that kind of stuff. So before I get eaten alive here and get up to the wall so I can get eaten alive up there, I just want to point out some stuff, okay? There's 2 lakes over here, smaller lakes. There's a larger lake about 1 kilometer this way. Those lakes are about probably 2 or 3 clicks that way. There's another large lake about 3 clicks this way. In the wallow, there's a pond or slough in the area. There are cougar, because I came across a track just over here. And there's also black bear and grizzly, deer and elk. So could a Sasquatch be here? 100%. But I don't know what I'm looking at yet. So let's do a hypothesis together. I'll show you what I'm finding, and we'll do some conclusions. And I want your kind of information about what more to do to solve the riddle. Now, some people say, well, why don't you just stay out here overnight? Well, because when I was out here last year, there was a grizzly with 2 cubs. And I would rather find out, at least narrow the chances, that I won't be sleeping in this wallow anytime soon if there's a grizzly with 2 cubs hanging around. So it's better to be safe than sorry. I am carrying bear mace, and people do know where I'm located at right now in case I don't make it home tonight. So, and that's probably because of the bugs, not because of Sasquatches or anything like that. Okay, I'll fade out in a couple of seconds here, and once I get onto the game trail, I'll start the camera again, start showing you some stuff. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm just on the game trail, which runs this way. And I just want to kind of go over here for a second. There are thousands of mosquitoes out here, so hopefully I won't get eaten alive. Just want to show you something. Again, just reiterating, 4 things you always take squatching with you. Healthy dose of skepticism, critical thinking, and the formulation of hypothesis, and your sincerity. And the one that I warned you about sincerity is, unfortunately, you can be sincere about something, but unfortunately, you can be sincerely wrong. So you got to kind of incorporate that into what you're doing. So the area I'm going to walk into, the wallows just over here, but I want to show you some things. I want to get you to start looking at the ground a little differently, so I want to help you with that a bit. And the first thing I want to show you is this tree snap. Now, I remember Thomas Steenberg was talking about, you know, snapping trees and that, and how that was a idea that came out back in I think he said 1969, and then by the 1970s, that was kind of the standby. So every time you watch a documentary in the 70s, it talked about, you know, tree snaps. This means that's Sasquatch. I like Thomas's approach, which I agree with him. Unless I see a Sasquatch doing it, I can't say it is a Sasquatch. So part of me taking up into this area here is I want to show you stuff that we would commonly think as being squatches, and can use some healthy skepticism and kind of remember in the back of your mind is, unless we really see a squatch or we can get one filmed to snap this. This is an interesting snap, because I'm going to show you something. This is an older snap. The area I'm in, by the way, I came here last fall, just before the winter came, and last time I was on the mountain. I think I did a quick 10-minute video of this area, and a snowstorm came in, so I had to get off the mountain. But there's a lot of interesting stuff here I want you guys to learn from a bit. So the tree here, there's no logs on top of it. There's nothing kind of really suggesting why this would be busted. It's approximately, I don't know, 6 feet, 6.5 feet, maybe 7 feet high. That part here that stretches up is probably about 2.5 feet where it's been snapped. And I just want to point out there's nothing on top here. Now, as a hypothesis, one could think that as this tree was standing straight up like this, a Squatch climbed up it, and then it followed along the top of it here with his arms. He was going clip, 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 clip. And as it got higher up, and the tree started to kind of bend over, eventually it snapped that part. But the bottom line is, I don't know. I just know that this looks different. It doesn't have a high tree top on it, meaning that if you look at it, it's lodgepole pine. And when you look at tops of lodgepole pine up there, like this one here, or there's another really good one, they're really thin, so it's hard for lodgepole pine to get snowpack on the top, unlike that balsam there. where it's got thicker leaves and stuff like that right there. As it grows higher, it gets thicker, so there's no weight on it, so you can see it snapping. So anyways, this is kind of the weird part for the beginning. The X's are right over there, and I'll go over and get a closer look at them in a bit. Alright, so I want to take you to this next spot. So what I want to show you guys is these rocks behind me. Rocks, Leon? Yeah, I want to show you some rocks. Because there's two different types of rocks. I'm not talking geological, like I'm not talking granite or sandstone. What I'm talking about is two different rocks. There's rocks that are in the ground, that you've seen were in the ground to begin with, and there's other rocks that aren't in the ground. And that's the mystery starts beginning. Okay, so just give me a sec. Okay, in this area I want to show you something. And what I want to point out to you is just a few things. Now, if you were to go over this area, you're going to walk right by this, and you're not going to see things that I'm looking at, or that I would notice. So you have two different types of rocks. This rock right here, you can see how it's still in the earth. Same as that rock right there. And the rock behind it right here. But then you have these other rocks. Like that rock right there. That's out of the earth. Rocks here that are out of the earth. You got a little small one right here. You got another small one. Kind of right in that area. And you got another one that's kind of right here. Now there's a reason why I'm pointing this out to you. Again, you've got rocks over here that are in the ground. You can see that they're in the ground. So the question is, why are some of these rocks not in the ground compared to some of the rocks that are in the ground? Like this rock right here, and there's a bit of a hill here, so yeah, if it eroded, you could see it falling down, and that makes contextual sense. But I want to kind of show you something. And just give me a second here. So here's some more rocks, and you can see that there's some that are in the ground, like not necessarily that one there, but that one over there. That one's out of the ground, and that one's out of the ground. And there's another farther one back in this area here that's out of the ground. Now why am I pointing this out to you? Is because there's something going on here. I'm just going to change the camera angle and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, now what's different about this particular rock right here is it's long. It's about from my fingers to my elbow, and it's about the same width. And what you see here is it's been pulled. It's been pulled out of this stationary location. Like, you can't see this rock behind me here, but the ones that are inset, this one's actually been lifted up. It's about 4 inches deep. So something has fiddled with the environment. And that's the mystery. I want you guys to look at some of these clues and tell me what you think. Okay? There's a bit of a close-up. You can see how there's a hole right there. And that rock has been pulled out of that hole. How you can tell is the shape of the hole matches that part of the rock. This rock's just on the surface. This one here. See my shadow? The one behind it is still in sit, meaning in its situation of being there earlier. And now you got another rock right here, which is about 12 inches and about 8 inches thick. And that's come out of this hole right there. You see this stick, this part right here. This stick had fallen back in there, but it's the outline of it is right here. Again, you have one that's inside. So something's going on here. I was mentioning about the pond or the slough. And that's it right there. And the mosquitoes are crazy. So I'm sorry if some of this is shaky, you guys, but there's thousands of them out here. You'll see that as I'm filming. Okay, so I want to take you to another area. One moment. Okay, so what I want to show you here is you heard about fencing. Now the wallow is right up here. And honestly, with me, whenever I walk into a wallow, if there's something about them that really just brings me to peace. Like, there's just something that totally makes me get into a relaxed state. Now, of course, I'm not looking at an 8-foot Sasquatch standing there, or a grizzly, 500 to 600 pound grizzly, which I certainly would think would interrupt my serenity a little bit. But there's something about wallows. You see how that's all clear? That whole area is kind of cleared off there. And it's all clear on the top, but then what you have is this fencing. And it goes all the way around the crest of the wallow. Alright, let me show you something else. I'm still looking on the ground, by the way. So something has come across this area here. You can see this is all busted off. That's kind of busted. The game trail runs right through here, up through there and around. And something has stepped either over this rock right here and stepped right on there, which snapped that tree in half. Yet I'm still looking on the ground, looking for disturbances, prints, or anything that kind of stands out a little bit. So what you're looking at here is a tree that has fallen. You can see it right there. And it's flipped over that way. And inside of the root system, you've got rocks, dirt, and the significant thing about it is you have a big hole here. Now these are all over the area, and this contextually makes sense to me. So when a tree falls over, there should be a dirt with rock and a hole, or what would happen over time as this gets eroded, what you just have is the root system, but you still have an indentation. So if you're in an area, I'm trying to get the wind blocked here a little bit. When you're in the area, you have to make sure that you dig down in some of the areas where the trees are just hanging. In other words, the root system's kind of up in the air. And so you can really kind of negotiate with what you're looking at. Okay, next spot. Okay, there's something about this that doesn't make any sense to me. Not sure. As I mentioned before, there should be a big hole right here. But there's no hole here at all. This is just kind of loosely sitting here. It's a pretty big old root system. It's probably a good 3.5 feet width across here, which means it should have left a very large hole here. Or at least an impression or an indent, but there's nothing here. And it's loose. I'm not saying anything's dragged it here or anything like that. It just doesn't make contextual sense to the environment. And that's kind of what we're looking for, is stuff that doesn't fit with the natural rhythm of what we're supposed to be seeing. So it's just something to take a peek at. Okay, so there's the game trail. You can see it cuts through here. And there's the wallow. There's the wallow right there. This whole open area. And you can see how the fencing just skims the ridge of this plateau. I'm almost at the very top of the mountain. Probably another couple of 100 feet to get to the very top. I'm just looking for stuff. Again, stuff that looks a little off. Okay, there's a rock right here. That rock that you're looking at right here is about 8 feet long. And there's something that doesn't make sense to me regarding this rock. And let's see if I can explain it to you. This rock right here, and this rock right here, this rock belongs over here. You see this nipple right here? That's part of this nipple right here. And then this part right here, you know, I don't know why these would be on top here. I understand why this 8-foot part here and this 4-foot part here has been cracked. Trunk that runs underneath here that's lifting up and it's obviously cracked these two pieces of rock. But this rock's supposed to be fitting over here, and this rock is supposed to be fitting somewhere else. And there's a huge red ant pile here that I better get away from before I get nibbled on here a bit. So again, something just doesn't make sense, doesn't fit naturally with what I'm looking at. So again, as I'm scanning the area, I see rocks that are out, and I see rocks that are inset, like right here. Rocks that are out, rocks that are inset. Now, rocks that are inset, rocks that are inset, and all of a sudden, this. Okay, so this rock right here is 18 inches long and a foot wide. It's probably a 30, maybe 40 pound rock. This one came out of this hole right here. That rock came out of this hole right here. So this was down, this was over. The rock just above it right there comes out of this hole right here. That rock there, which is 16 inches by 10 inches thick, came out of this spot right here. Now you can't see it with the camera. How I know is the rounded part here, this part here that's flat, it's this flat part right here. So again, there's definitely something else going on. Here again is one of the root systems. You can see the trees falling down. That makes contextual sense. Nice big hole. And you check out that root system right there. It doesn't have a hole like that, and nor does the other one right here. There's no hole there. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is this tree stump. That's a fairly fresh tree stump. And again, what I want to point out to you is notice all the branches are on the bottom, but there's no branches on top of that tree. It's green, so you know it's fairly fresh. It's still in the ground, right here. So think about it when you're looking at this. If the tree was straight up, like say the one that's right beside it, to the right of it, which is roughly the same dimension, what would make something snap like that? Well, if something's climbing up the tree, like this, and as the weight got better and it started bending down and it started climbing the top of the tree, it would bust. See how that's sheared like that? It's not sheared, but it's been smashed. Smashed, not a bit right word too, but fractured is probably the best word for it. Now that's all hypothesis. I know there's something in the area, I just don't know what it is. Okay, so here you have this rock here. That rock used to be fitting right inside of this area right here. It's been lifted up like that. There's the X's right there. Again, you can see the perimeter fencing that goes all the way around here again. So the X's, which are right there, are below it. I kind of agree with a few people who have the idea that I think Bigfoot does use nature as a navigational or a way of contacting each other. But I don't find any structures up here on this mountain. I'm about 6,500 feet up. I haven't found any structures. Again, this makes contextual sense to me. There's that rock. You can see all the dirt's obviously been weathered off, and it's still stuck inside there. I'm showing you that because I'm going to show you something in a bit that kind of looks off a bit. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Does this look like a big rock to you? because it looks like a big rock to me. It looks like a really big rock to me. Actually, it's about 3.5 feet long, and it's about 2.25 feet wide, and another 2.5 feet thick. Now, why am I showing you this huge rock? Because this rock used to be back farther, and it's been rolled this way. That's a pretty big rock. It's probably 500 pounds. I'm pretty sure it's around 500 pounds. You can do the measurements and weight to check it out. So let me show you the hole behind it. The other thing too is this rock is now sitting this way. In the hole, as you'll see in the indent, it was actually angled like this. So not only was it flipped, it was flipped and removed or shifted, so it's facing this angle. The imprint's right around here. It's about 6 inches deep, and this rock angles this way, but the hole actually angles that way. So it's been flipped up this way and shifted this way. Again, that's got to be a 500-pound rock, you guys. So I'm not sure what's going on, but something is definitely going on. There's the X's. There's one really big X. You can see it right there. It goes like that. And then you see the double X down there, which I'll zoom in for you. Right there. Big X right there. Smaller X's right there. There's no way this is going to pick it up, but I'll give it a shot. There's a spot right here. You can see how this is all flat right here. And I don't know if you can see the ground, how it's cracked. This little part right here kind of shows you. Right here it's cracked. That's all flat as if something sat there. And again, you're not going to really notice it if you're not used to being in the bush. And of course my camera's not going to show it that well, but you can kind of see the outline right here. It goes all the way around here. It's like a fat ass. Oh, sorry, flat bottom girl. Actually, there's another one over there too, right here. This area right here. We got to come up with 3D cameras. They're coming up pretty soon, technology-wise. And there's another one right there, actually. Oh, sorry, right here. Someone was sitting here and pulling this out. Now, most of this activity I'm seeing isn't from this year. In other words, it's not spring. Okay, so you can see that fencing comes around here. And that's a good 8-10 feet tall. Now, why I put this here? Well, the mountain's behind me. And you've heard Rio talk about hide and concealment. And the weird thing is the road's right there. Now that's the road. There's another main road that's way down that way. This is just the road getting up to kind of the location I'm in. Just a side note, make sure you always bring your chainsaw with you, especially in springtime, because there's been some pretty wicked logs that have been across the road. You don't want to get yourself stuck in a road without being able to saw yourself out. Here's another root ball. And that makes sense. Big hole. Another root system behind it a bit. It's fallen over. You can see the rocks in the dirt. You can see this. Thing that doesn't make sense is this rock right here. Oops. Thing that doesn't make sense is this rock right here. Because it's on a branch. It's actually not on a root system. And that's probably a good 16 inches long and stuff. I think I showed that one last year. So again, when you're looking down here, again, there's the road. Hide and concealment's a great location. If you're trying to come up through here, there's no way you're going to come up through here because look at that garbage that's down there. Notice also all the wood is falling the same direction. You get some leaners here. Again, in the squashy world, that would mean that there's squatches in the area, but I don't like doing it that way until I find out something else is going on. This rock is sitting on that rock. Don't know why that rock would be sitting on that rock. It doesn't make sense. Okay, but I always saw stuff like this, or logs that are ripped apart, like that right there. I would think this area could be a bear wallow. Again, that's the crest right here. And just below the crest, it starts the fencing that goes only around the crest, all the right direction. This rock here has been moved out of that hole right there. That little piece of rock right there fits right inside that rock. I can see that already. Actually, those 3 pieces are off that rock. I'm just looking. This moss is right on bedrock, so it doesn't indent very much. This rock here has been moved from right here. If you follow my finger, dips in, goes around, comes down, dips in, goes around. That's the dip on the rock. That's the dip on this corner right here. That rock's been put over here too. That rock's about 2 feet long. Again, you have the other ones that are just inset. You got something going on here. That's been freshly busted. Pushed down by the looks of it. Because it snapped. The pieces are right there. Okay, so that's the wallow. So you got 3 X's, 1 large, 2 small. You've got a fencing that goes around the perimeter here, just on the crest of the knoll. You've got rocks like that have been moved. You got that monstrous rock down there that's been moved. That's, like I said, it's got to be at least 500 pounds, you guys. It's a huge rock. You got the logs that are suspended above the ground, no hole at all. So the moss is, right on the bedrock. And if you have seeds that have gone in there, they'll stay within most of the minerals and most of the nutrition is in the first 6 layers of the surface. So the roots don't go down like a carrot, they kind of spread out like this. So they're kind of easy to fall over, I get that. Like that other one over there that's got a rock on a branch, that's different than the rocks that you're finding on the root systems. And you want to remember to, again, when you're looking at this, you guys, what do you think? Okay, the hypothesis is there's something in the area. With that hypothesis is I have no idea what it is. I've been in bear wallows and I've been in grizzly wallow habitats. And if I came up here, I would think that this could be definitely, grizzly or black bear. But other stuff doesn't seem to make sense. Again, all this would be viewed in our cultural YouTube thing as being, this is Sasquatch here. I have to fess up a little bit. I think there's a print that looks like it could be a Sasquatch print down lower. But it's old. So if I even try to show you it on camera, you're not going to see it. And I want to stick with facts. So let's see. So critical thinking would be put up cameras, which I have. The next step would be put out audio recorders as well. Next step would be return to the site on a regular basis. Because again, most of this activity is probably been from late fall of last year and maybe over the summer last year, and I want to just check to see if things are coming back through here. So I have set up treats, and those treats have been taken already, And from what I can tell from one of the apple cores, it looks like a deer. But I'll check the camera just to make sure. So, using your hypothesis, and you came into an area like this, and you started noticing rocks on the surface and rocks that are in the ground, which tells you, or makes you ask, why is that happening? And then later on finding rocks that have been pulled, larger, fairly large rocks, 20, 30, 40 pound rocks have been pulled from sites. That could definitely be black bear or grizzly. Looking for grubs. But then you've got another 500 pound rock that's over there. And the question would be, why would that be moved? Well, I'm not too sure, other than that area right behind it is definitely a cool spot to hide behind that particular rock. So you've got the fencing that's all through here that you've heard in the Bigfoot community. Usually accompanies a wallow. I've got bear sign. That stump right there. That's obviously been gnawed apart. I do have bear tracks. Oops. I do have bear tracks. So using a hypothesis and the ability to be fair, and what's fairness? Well, fairness is the idea that, you know, you're flexible and that you might be sincere about things, but you can also be sincerely wrong. So you're flexible enough to be honest, change your position, and fess up if you get more information. That helps people get educated. So, okay, on that note, hope you guys have a most awesome week. I'll come back up and check the cameras and the audio and see if anything comes up. And we'll go from there. So think of your hypothesis of what this might be, what's going on here. And use some critical thinking. Don't jump the gun. Always be patient with your process, gracious and gentle. And remember, it takes time to get your eyes trained to look at the ground. That'll be either for prints or other activity, so that you can recognize, because in most cases subconsciously you're just going to blend everything together. And you got to take about 1.5 years, 2 years to kind of get that back for you if you've lost it. At least that's been my experience. So have a great week. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. I'll be heading down to Alberta Sasquatch, or heading over to Alberta Sasquatch to get together with the boys there, and then hopefully make it down to Utah and hang out with the clan down there. So everyone have a safe trip to those locations, by the way, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya. Okay, I also forgot to mention one other thing too, which is if there's bear in the area, there should be scat. I've only seen coyote scat, and I haven't seen any bear scat around the area at all. I have seen tracks, but that was a few kilometers away, and but no scat. So you think you'd see some scat, unless there's squatches around, and then they're not going to be leaving their they're not going to leave their scat around with squatches hanging around, I don't think. Again, that's speculation. So, alright, just wanted to add that. There's a bear track right here. It's going up a hill. So you can see the claws that are in here. This is where the pad would have been. Let me go up that way. Pretty big claws though. You can see that it's been weathered a bit too, because this is kind of, the soil's kind of been rained on. This little part's right here. So that's kind of a little water flow been over top of that. Anyways, I always check the side of, they go all the way up here. Always check the side of hillsides that are sandy for sure. Alright, just wanted to point that out.